Coming up on Focal Point. Classes move online for the rest of the semester. Graduation is postponed
and just so many emotions, really.
Students urge to go home.
Coming up, I'll tell you how the coronavirus pandemic is impacting study abroad programs.
I'll show you how churches across the state are switching their holy water for hand sanitizer.
No sports means no games, and for some, no games means no work.
But one local business is seeing an increase in sales because they have plenty of this in stock.
Focal Point starts now. Hello and welcome to the special edition of Focal Point. I'm Joe Freihofer. This is usually the time of day where over 50,000 students crisscross their way on campus to over 556 different buildings. But today, as you can see behind me, campus is empty. The coronavirus pandemic is affecting the way we do things all over the world. But what about right here in East Lansing? From sporting events, to going to churches, to the way we even socialize with one another. Our Focal Point team, armed with iPhones all across the state of Michigan, will now be telling the stories of our neighbors. But let's start right here. The phone call that shut down this campus last week also shut down a long career.
Are you going home?
Are you going home? It's the question we all find ourselves asking.
Like no one's here.
The unthinkable is happening.
Now we got to keep 6 feet.
All classes canceled.
6 foot distance, I've been told.
Yeah, I'm excited for like the time off and more like to do it on my schedule, I guess.
50,000 students will finish out their classes online after 2 coronavirus cases surface in Michigan.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime event. I went to the University of Wisconsin, and the school never even shut down for a day, let alone closed for a month.
The news hit campus Wednesday morning.
It was the very beginning of my 1020 class. It flashed across the screen. Classes will be canceled at noon, live classes.
Ray Schmidgall spent more than half of his life here.
This is year number 45.
Not exactly the way he expected his last 2 months on campus to
This
end.
is my last semester. My contract is over on May 15th.
This is how it will end. Empty cafeterias and cleaning campus-wide.
We clean every single door handle in the entire building.
I've definitely seen more people using hand sanitizer. Masks have been more prevalent.
This is the new
I
normal.
think we need to go back to normal as soon as we can.
For Ray,
I'm saddened. Why am I retiring?
maybe it's because he can spend more time
I really have asked myself that question a few times.
with his 11 grandkids.
These are my grandchildren, some of them.
But for his students,
The young people have dreams. I can help them.
he'll have to be okay with seeing them online from his office.
I want to see us come out of this coronavirus strong. My students are, for the most part, gone, but I'm going to keep teaching them, and we want to make a difference with them.
Not the way he ever would have thought his 45 years of teaching would end.
But maybe it is the best thing to do. But I don't like it.
Students will never forget it. It all started Wednesday morning at 10:11 a.m. The campus alert that stated at noon all face-to-face classes will be canceled. Let's take a look at how we got here and what's happened since. MSU's announcement to suspend all in-person classes sent students packing, and for most, home is just a car ride away. But as Alina Juravel tells us, one Spartan had to fly halfway around the world just to get home.
Inside the international centers where students apply for study abroad programs, all of them have been canceled for now. And for students like Yvonne Phillips, the timing couldn't have been worse.
The whole reason why I went to MSU was solely based on the Korean program.
Yvonne Phillips felt lucky. She was one of 4 students accepted to a study abroad program in South Korea. She planned to finish her undergraduate minor in Korean. Phillips couldn't take enough pictures or videos during her first week in Korea. She figured it was going to be a great 4 months. And then
It was so sad.
it all ended. 1 week into a dream study abroad, and as the coronavirus spread in South Korea, MSU decided to end the program.
Well, MSU just said that we had to leave ASAP.
Then Phillips flew back to Detroit.
I cried like while the plane was taking off, when we landed and they're like, welcome to Detroit. And I was like, I don't want to be here.
Phillips says she felt safer in Korea.
Before we walked into like any kind of store, they would test our temperature. And they would like, if our temperature was too high, they'd kick us out. And they would always be sanitizing everything. There'd be little hand sanitizing booths everywhere.
And back in the United States,
nobody screened us. Nobody checked our temperatures. Nobody asked us like how we were feeling or where we were even coming from.
it can take up to 14 days for symptoms to appear. So she was told to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. That's why we talk to each other like this.
Today is your last day?
Yes, today's my last day. I'm going to go to the movies.
And she's symptom-free. At Michigan State, all face-to-face classes are canceled, and the graduation ceremony is postponed. Phillips hopes to go back to Korea next year. As for this year, she might just feel lucky that she had at least a week there. MSU has suspended all spring and summer study abroad programs. Students that are currently studying abroad have been told to return to the United States. And they aren't the only ones that had to say goodbye too soon. Students also had their senior year cut short with no warning. Focal Point's Morgan Dweridan is in East Lansing with that story.
You think you have time as a college senior to say your last goodbyes, take in your last class, wear your cap and gown, and walk across that big graduation stage. But for the graduating class of 2020, time is something that got cut short.
I just freaked out and just had so much sadness.
Sadness for Kelsey Nickerson because campus is empty.
My last class was my 9-10 in Comm Arts.
The last lesson in Kelsey's college career didn't come from a professor or a class.
I was so confused, and that for like a second I was happy, and then I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm ever going back to class.
It hit her last week.
It was just kind of so abrupt.
When Michigan State University canceled all face-to-face classes and graduation ceremonies. Since last week, MSU looks like a ghost town. Every floor, every classroom, you will always stand in line at this campus Starbucks.
As of today, we've had around 50 people all day.
But not anymore. The university locked its classrooms. Seniors are finding it hard to close the door.
It's part of necessary to find closure on this space.
I hope they at least give us the option to come back in December because I want to walk.
Just so many emotions, really.
Kelsey has been thinking.
Yesterday I went on like a 3-hour walk around campus, just like seeing everything.
She didn't picture her final semester ending this way.
Instantly was texting my friends saying, all right, can we all hang out and just be sad together?
Kelsey's last lesson as a college senior came with this crisis. To appreciate it all.
I just love this place so much.
I think Kelsey echoes a lot of the thoughts of the seniors at Michigan State. When we come back to this special edition of Focal Point, we'll tell you what area churches are replacing their holy water with.
Welcome back to Focal Point. So many lives have been affected by the coronavirus. Athletes that compete on ice, courts, and fields. Arena workers that are always looking for that part-time paycheck, as well as announcers and producers that broadcast sporting events.
Hey, how are you, Sam?
I'm not too bad. How are you doing today?
I am doing okay.
Normally, we'd meet in person.
I am the lead producer for the Detroit Red Wings.
But today, Chris Wazalewski is social distancing because of the coronavirus.
If you don't have to come into the office, just don't.
Chris produces broadcasts for Fox Sports Detroit.
So we were there Sunday afternoon.
There is here, Little Caesars Arena in downtown Detroit. The Pistons just played the Utah Jazz. A few days later, Jazz center Rudy Gobert tested positive for the coronavirus.
It didn't really dawn on me until we were thinking about it Wednesday night. After the positive test had come out, we're like, oh yeah, the Jazz just played the Pistons in Detroit.
Then the NBA postponed its season. Then the NHL. Chris's bosses told him he didn't have to come in to work.
There was no mandate to stay home, but it was non-essential personnel.
Chris doesn't just work at the arena. He works at this building in Southfield as well.
The larger office building was one of the first confirmed cases in Oakland County in Michigan.
When leagues started postponing games, part-time workers at stadiums were concerned about taking home a paycheck. And it's no different with freelancers at Fox Sports Detroit.
Depending on how long this goes, that is a substantial amount of income lost for the contractors and freelance employees.
Luckily, Chris is full-time and will be just fine. He's just worried about his health.
As of now, there's really no reason to risk anything.
While the sports world is on pause, several broadcasters are too. If the NBA and NHL seasons do continue, well, that's going to be right when baseball season's starting up as well. So the folks over at Fox Sports Detroit are going to have to go from 0 to 100 miles an hour real quick. And it's not just arenas that are empty. Other places that crowds usually meet are silent. Focal Point's Katie Barecki is in Canton, Michigan with that story.
Yes, Sam, I'm in front of Resurrection Church here in Canton, Michigan, and like thousands of parishes across the state of Michigan and in Lansing, in the wake of the virus, they're finding ways to spread the gospel without spreading germs.
I think this is a challenge for us to pray more.
The holy water has been replaced by hand sanitizer.
So it's there, and then there's this one here.
Father Steve Mattson of the Church of the Resurrection has seen how the coronavirus has spread.
And when I saw the way that China was kind of clamping down on populations, that's when I began to watch this.
The very place where people gather to pray could be the most dangerous. He's doing everything he can to make sure the coronavirus doesn't spread here.
No sign of peace, no holding hands, just to avoid that contact, as well as either cleaning and emptying out the holy water founts, or as we've done, we pulled the holy water founts.
As well as urging people to use hand sanitizer.
We don't know what we're bringing in. We want to make sure we don't take anything out. So we just have them, use this.
On Friday, the Diocese of Lansing announced that parishioners aren't obligated to attend Mass. Father Mattson wants to make sure his parishioners know that too, not only for those who are older, but for himself as well.
The other thing I've said to parishioners here is, please, if you're sick, stay home, because if I get sick, I have to cancel services. There's nobody else here.
Mass will still be available to those who feel well enough to come and worship.
I'm very grateful that Bishop Way has allowed us to continue to offer Mass with all the caveats and concerns, and also to be able to offer the sacrament of confession.
And Father Mattson has a confession to make, that we're not in charge of our lives, but he already knew that.
These are times when all of us feel vulnerable, and I think that's one of the graces of this moment, is that we realize we are not as in charge of our lives as we might think.
Now, Church of the Resurrection is having a live stream on Sundays for those who still want to participate in Mass at home. You can go on their website, corlansing.org, for more information. Now, it's no joke that people are praying for the end of the coronavirus, but as Kaylee Garrison in Jackson shows us, people are not only praying, they're panic buying. Kaylee?
That's right, Katie. I, like many other students, went home for the rest of the school year. I'm standing outside the Meyer in Jackson right now as people are scrambling to buy whatever is left. But as you're about to see, there isn't much.
I'm here till like 10 and I don't see it slowing down that much.
It's like the holiday rush. Shoppers in a frenzy.
My niece and I are out shopping today because I was concerned that people are going to buy everything.
But the hot commodity isn't a run on turkeys, it's toilet paper.
Every store you go to, it seems like everyone's bought toilet paper. So they're trying to restock them, but, you know, they can't get them restocked quick enough.
The toilet paper and Clorox wipes phenomenon fills the network news and our social media, among other stories about coronavirus. Gail Flores of Mason just wants to do what's right for her family.
I do have a 4-year-old grandson that lives with me, and he's not in school yet, luckily. But we're just, kind of not wanting to have to go out too much, so he will hopefully not be exposed to this.
Flores bought a case of water, produce, and other essentials. Meanwhile, the parking lot at the Okemos Meyer is packed. Lines are long and shelves are empty. People are panicking, but Jean Schlicklin of Perry said worrying isn't going to help.
I don't know why people are going nuts stocking up on stuff. Then when someone runs out of something, they can't get a hold of it.
The Center for Disease Control says to stock up on medicine and non-perishable foods for up to 2 weeks. While some shelves remain empty, employees are doing their best to keep them stocked. The parking lot here is surprisingly empty. I spoke with customers at the Meyer here in Jackson and the store in Okemos about what's going on in front of the store. For more behind the scenes, here's Michaela Temple.
The coronavirus might be having a negative impact for most businesses, but I found one that's never been busier because they have plenty of this in stock. It's a similar sight all over the state. Shelves stand empty and signs are posted to limit how many products people can buy. But behind the scenes,
and you got Van Addens in there, Spud?
Business supply companies like Repco Paper are facing the busiest weeks they've ever seen.
I do have it still, and I've got people coming out of the woodwork to try and buy it.
What the people are coming for is toilet paper, and they can't unload the trucks fast enough. Before they have to fill up the next one,
East Lansing Fire, you need 2 45-35s.
For deliveries. And businesses are making sure they stock up.
I had a customer that wanted 100 cases of bath tissue.
100 cases holding 96 rolls each, purchased just in time before a limit was put in place.
They're trying to come and buy 25, 30 cases at a time, and we're allocated right now, so we can't.
Repco employees are taking precautions themselves to stay healthy.
The key is just to wash your hands a lot.
And while business has been good, they're still hopeful for a healthy future.
Hopefully it turns out to be not that big a deal, but as of right now, it's something I've never seen before.
Repco Paper is currently seeing a shortage of hand sanitizer, but they're hoping to have it back on their shelves in the next couple of weeks. We end today's special Focal Point broadcast back where we started, with Joe Freihofer on the Michigan State campus.
Extraordinary times when all of us are taking extraordinary measures. Now, one note for those graduating seniors here at MSU, even though those ceremonies have been postponed that you've been working towards and waiting so long for, there's still a chance that they'll get rescheduled in the coming future, although those are surely going to feel a little bit more like a reunion than anything else. I'm Joe Freihofer. That's it for this special edition of Focal Point. Thanks so much for spending your time with us.